Everyone, hello, welcome back again to our 7th bonus episode, being released on the same day because we love you so much.
We do.
And we briefly wanted to talk about this very, very strange man that we came across. Maybe 2-3 months ago now. I remember I sent you the article about it, and we were both like, this is weird. We have to put it into an episode, but it's kind of short, so bonus episode. So I wanted to talk about a man known as Fukushi Masaichi, and he was born January 30th, 1878, and he actually grew up to be a physician and a pathologist at the Nippon Medical School in Tokyo. The interesting thing that we wanted to talk about for him today is that he is the founder of the world's only collection of tattoos taken from dead bodies. Over time, he and his son, who was known as Katsunari, became known in Japan as Irezumi Hakase, which can mean something close to Dr. Tattoo. The reason he became interested in tattoos is actually quite a funny story, and it in a way links back to all the way back to episode 14A when we talked about the other scientist, Hideo Noguchi. Now, if you remember, he was doing a lot of research into syphilis at the time and other things, but Fukushi Masaichi, also undertaking research in syphilis and things, he found that the ink actually used in tattoo, which was placed in the skin, actually killed the skin lesions of syphilis. And due to this, his research in human skin on people from 1907 brought him eventually into the contact of many people who obviously had tattoos as he saw this link, and he became very interested in it. After this, actually another 19 years did pass before he also became in the art of tattooing itself. And this then gave him the, I don't want to say obsession, but at least the interest in undertaking autopsies on the different corpses who had tattoos. And he also then began to remove the skin and began to undertake research on methods to actually preserve the skin that he was now taking off of these deceased bodies. And overall, from what I found out, he actually collected in total around 2,000 hides of skin, and he also amassed a collection of around 3,000 photographs. All of these, unfortunately, which were lost during World War II. Fortunately, however, Masaichi did put some of these hides and photos that he had collected into an air raid shelter in the early 1940s when, World War II was beginning. And weirdly enough, because they were actually protected from the war, they survived all the bombings that were in Japan. We still have these skins to this day. And if you're ever in Tokyo and you're interested in actually seeing them, you can go to the Medical Pathology Museum in Tokyo University and go and see some of the 105 skinned items which are on display there right now.
The samples were obtained ethically, correct? Like, these were people who died and gave permission.
They had died, they were being autopsied, and I assume they all of them did give permission, but in addition to that, I did read that, yeah, he would remove the tattooed skin off of donated bodies, and he would preserve them and keep them for display. He would stretch them and place them in glass cases, but he would also offer to pay for people who couldn't afford to get their tattoos finished. So if he came across someone who was trying to undergo a full body tattoo and they'd run out of money, couldn't complete it, he would give them money to finish it on the condition that, upon their death, he would be allowed to skin their bodies and preserve their tattoos for his collection.
So that the art would live on.
The art would live on. I will be honest, when you look at some of the pictures of what they have on display, the tattoos in themselves are very interesting. They are preserved extremely well. And from far away, they do just look weirdly like a jacket or leggings that you would put on. But I suppose it's only when you actually get close enough you realize what it is, and that's when I think it starts becoming kind of
disturbing.
Yeah, kind of a bit creepy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just thought it was a weirdly interesting tale.
Well, so tattoos now are not looked upon favorably in Japan. I think there was a time period, like I do know, I think some like Ainu and another indigenous people who were in Japan also had tattoos. So there's a couple of different ethnic groups I believe had tattoos, but I do know they kind of got out of favor. And like now quite often if you go to like a Shinto or an onsen, tattoos are associated with like yakuza. So you if you have tattoos, you can't go into Shinto or onsen. And even if like you're teaching here, you have tattoos, they have to be covered. So if you're teaching English, you can't show your tattoos. And even when you go out in public on your time off, you have to be careful about covering your tattoos.
True.
In some places, they're trying to change this image. There are some onsens in Sento that do allow tattoos, but they are very rare. There are some tattoo artists in Japan that are trying to change that image of tattoos. So I'm interested to see the next few years to see how the ideas of tattoo becomes, because apparently it was popular or more common back during that time.
From what I can tell, it was definitely, well, it seemed to fluctuate. It would rise in popularity, it would decline away. And at times, tattoos were also used, they were marks of punishment for
Hmm.
criminals and things. So they did, from an early onset, also have links to criminals. But specifically, the ones we were talking about today, the irezumi type of tattoos. So the ones where they hand did it with the piece of wood and the needle, where they
Hmm.
would stab all the ink into you, not obviously the modern techniques. But yeah, you're right. The modern day, it has fallen out of favor. It definitely has ties now to more of the Yakuza. And so when the Meiji period came and Japan was opening up their borders, they wanted to give a good impression to the West and avoid ridicule. And so they outlawed tattoos at that time. Before that, they were legal, which is why they fluctuated in popularity and things.
Hmm.
But because they became illegal, and obviously then more Yakuza kept on doing it, it became more and more connected to them. And yeah, still to this day, people see it as not criminal behavior, but it links you to, it gives you bad connotations. Because obviously, when Japan was opening up in the West, tattoos weren't really a thing. It's only more of a modern thing in the Western world.
Yeah, and I think too the tattoos from like the Ainu and things like that. I think it's really important that some of that come out to be more preserved, to be, shown, and that it oh, this is so hard to say because you kind of get into like this gets way deeper than a bonus episode we need to go. So maybe I'm just gonna cut.
No, 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 please go on. I like it.
It's really good that some of the historical information about the different groups that were in Japan, that those become more known and more aware, that people are aware of the different aspects to Japan, the different history of Japan, that it's not just this one particular thing. There is so many different histories that make up the whole country. So that whole, I think I actually have an article I need to find that I need to show you about the historical significance about tattooings for some of the cultures here in Japan as well. So I think it's an interesting topic, and again, I want to see in the next like 15 to 20 years where tattoos will be in Japanese society.
Exactly. Because I know Japan, I think Japan will have problems with them for a long time. So there you have it. The the man who collected tattoos. Like I said, if you're ever in Japan, if anyone
And
gets to Japan once the world has calmed down, I hope it does soon, then yeah. The Medical Pathology Museum at Tokyo University is where you need to go if you are interested in seeing some of the skins that survived.
if that's your thing, please, by all means, go.
I'd say I hope you enjoyed it, but I think you found it a bit disturbing this week. Well, for this episode.
Well, I do find the scientific implications of the effectiveness of tattoo to help with medical conditions. I find that quite fascinating. So I'm going to take that away. It's like, that is a very interesting medical fact that you shared with me, and think about the next thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, that is everything for me for my bonus episode. You will hear from us all on Friday. Like we said, we're gonna do the folk tale of various different cats from Japan's long history. I'm looking forward to telling that. I'm assuming Heather's looking forward to it as well. I can see her doing different cat faces over the camera right now. But until then, guys, stay safe and enjoy your week. And we'll speak to you on Friday. Matane.
またね